Abner, I have had my Pixel 9a for around about, it's just short of 24 hours at this point. You've had it for a little bit longer. I'm a little bit jealous, and I don't want us to go into a big review of it because I think that's unfair to your review, which is really more detailed. But let's talk about some really cool stuff. What do you love so far? What is the one thing that stands out to you about the Pixel 9a that maybe gets lost in leaks and in pre-release renders and all that kind of stuff? Go off. Tell me what you want to tell me.
I love the design. Right off the bat, let's start with the fact that I'm probably using this over the 9 Pro for the foreseeable future. Maybe until the 10, most likely. There's just something about this phone that's, I don't know, delightful. It's okay. So I think you were saying like the vendors don't do it justice.
Yeah, basically. Yeah, 100%. I agree with that.
And it's well, yes, it's the look, but it's also the feel of it. It's the look. It has such a simple form. It's just the platonic slab style phone. It's just glass on front and plastic on the back, which I'd argue is actually helps you tell which side is which, especially without a camera bar. But you can tell what is plastic, you can tell what is glass. That helps in the pocket or in the bag when you're grabbing it. And just the fact that there's no camera bar makes it it simplifies this design. It's, again, I keep going back to like, this is the platonic ideal of a smartphone, to me anyways.
I agree with you to an extent, but I have a different take on that. I don't know if this is a little bit of a throwback style design. And obviously I know that the trademark slab, flat, almost flush back plate, all that kind of stuff, we're talking iPhone 4. And I think a lot of people would probably put the iPhone 4, 4S, maybe the 5, as among their top designs of smartphones. Yeah. And I wonder how much of that is playing into my mind, because that was one of the first out-and-out smartphones I'd ever used. And I wonder if that's kind of, maybe that's why I'm thinking that certain aspects of it, I thought I would dislike. I don't know why I thought I would dislike it, but the flush design, it's almost, I don't want to say refreshing because that's not the best way to describe it, but maybe it is.
I think it is refreshing because, I know, like going into this, some people said it was a boring phone, that it was just another phone, but no. What other phone has been this flat, has been this flush? Since like you said, the iPhone 4 to, I guess, the iPhone 5S, 4 generations of that design. It's refreshing. You have to feel it in the store, and even then, I feel like at the store there's so many cables you don't really appreciate it. So that's unfortunate for most people's usage of this phone. But if you know somebody that has it, if you just, I don't know, just holding it, you feel. It's a throwback, but at the same time, it's also refreshing. And the other thing that I really like is how light this phone is. It's definitely lighter than the Pixel 9 or the Pixel 9. Well, the 9 and 9 Pro just weigh the same, just under 200 grams. And this is it. I don't know. Everything combines to make this just feel like my favorite phones.
I think it's you. I agree with you with regards to the favorite phones thing, because I've mained the Pixel. It sounds like I said maimed. I haven't maimed my phones. I've mained them. I don't like the term daily driver. If anyone out there listening, is reason why I haven't said that. My main device, my default device, has kind of flip flopped over the last few months between regular Pixel 9 that was pre-New Year up until around about end of December. I then went back to the Pixel 9 Pro XL. And I've gone backward and forward between the Pro XL, the Fold, and the 9 quite a lot over the last few weeks. I feel like I haven't settled on it. Maybe it was in preparation for this phone arriving. And I think there is enough of it. It's almost like it feels remarkably different from the Pixel 9 because of the material changes and the minor shape changes. And I think maybe last year I was really, if I'm being honest, I was really disappointed in the Pixel 8a because it felt like just a cheap version of the 8, and that felt like a really sloppy way to do it. I don't know. Maybe
yeah,
does that make sense?
Yeah, I'm still using the 8A every day for like a reading device. Yeah, it's because the 8. It's so every time I pick up the 8 from using the 9 Pro, I still feel nostalgic for that comfortable design. It just feels better in your hand with the rounded edges, especially when it digs into your palm. But going from the 8A to the 9A, yeah, I don't, or yeah, from the 9A to the 8A rather, I don't feel that sense of nostalgia because I think the 9A is completely a new thing, so much so that Google tried something new, and I think it succeeded very well. I'd say the 8 was definitely one of my favorite phones in the past, and now Google, they did something new, and I like it, and it's a complete package. It's like the future. This is selling me so much on the Pixel 9 design language, and going forward.
Yeah, because you were a little bit funny about that. You were kind of not fully sold, right? You were one of the few people I thought wasn't fully sold.
Yeah, it's yeah. It was just uninspiring. But this is feels like a totally different take on it. I know that the only difference is literally the no camera bar, but it's just a different take on it. It feels significantly, substantially different, and I can appreciate that greatly.
If I'm going to be honest, I like the way that, in some respects, whereas previously we saw this shift with the A series getting more premium, and there's no doubt in my mind that this is it's a £500 phone, and I don't think that is in the real world is considered cheap. But I think when you're in this middle of the road price kind of area, I think having something that feels like its own product within the lineup, that it's still part of a family, I like the way they've gone about this. And I wonder if there's some elements of what Apple has done with their SE lineup here as being kind of the thought process behind the design. But also I like the fact that we now have an A series which stands, it's not completely separate, but it's close enough so that it's its own man, if that makes sense. It's its own person, it's its own product. And you don't feel like when you buy, and I think this, I'm almost formulating it while I'm saying it. With regards to the 8A, I think I was so annoyed with it last year because it almost was like, I'm going to follow so closely that you feel like, why would I get that when I can get the slightly more premium version? And then there's a price. The pricing was strange because it was so closely encroaching upon the regular 8 that it did feel like a cheap knockoff. And that's not a slight on the device because it was a very good device in its own right, but it felt so closely aligned that it diminished the entire product, to me anyway. I feel like this is a good way of doing it in that the product itself, at least in the hardware, is enough different so that we then have a reason for it to exist within the lineup. That's the point I was trying to make from the very beginning.
No, it's good. Agreed. It's the A series no longer feels like a variant of the main line. It's its own thing. Again, like the design. The design story that Google started with. They didn't set out to make a fat phone. They just wanted to improve thermals with a vapor chamber, add a bigger battery, and introduce a new camera module. And once they were done with that, they got something that was almost flat that they decided to go all the way. And that extra engineering, that extra redesign might be too strong a word, but that extra effort they put into this phone just makes it feel not derivative. It's no longer a variant really. It's its own thing. And I think hopefully this is something the market rewards, and that Google going forward, not to get ahead of ourselves, that this is the basis of the A series.
I think it being the basis for the A series is it's almost like a rebirth, isn't it? Like Absolutely. Much like the 9 felt like a rebirth for the Pixel again, because they've tried to do it. It feels like they've tried to do it multiple times. They've now settled on this kind of path that they're going to go down. Yet they've created two divergent paths for their cheap phone, their expensive phones. I say expensive. By this point in time, you can get a regular Pixel 9 at discount, and I do think I'm kind of erring towards the side of if you want that phone, go for that one. But if you like the specific design of the 9A, go for it. But I also think it's good in some respects. Disappointing at the same time. But you do get a truly different software experience as well, because there's certain things that are omitted, rightly or wrongly, they've been omitted. Some of them due to hardware limitations. But it does create that greater separation. I think separation was always the question mark I had with, when are we going to reach a point where the A series almost makes itself defunct, pointless, doesn't need to be around? And this feels like a statement from Google saying, no, we're going to keep this phone around. We're going to keep the device around. There were rumors, what was it, 18 months ago that they might cancel the A series?
Yeah.
This feels like a reinstatement of, no, cheap phones are here to stay. We're going to create them slightly differently. They may feel like, or at least from afar, look the same. They're not the same. They have these benefits. They have these downsides, like any cheap phone does. Again, I still don't think £500 is cheap, but you can get them on sale pretty regularly. Sell plans are pretty cheap for these devices. Mobile phone contracts are cheap for them. I think in some respects, it's a win-win. I want to talk about one thing that I really don't like so far, though, and this has struck me straight away. And I know you have a very different opinion. I want to hear what you think about it. As soon as I powered this thing on, it was in dark mode, which is the standard. It refreshed when I restored from a Pixel 9 Pro and went into light mode, and damn, the bezels, they looked comically huge initially. You have a slightly different take. I want to tell me what you think, because I think this is really interesting.
It's par for the course for the A series. It always feels like that. Same when the first time I had hands on with it, the bezels were huge, and coming back to it now, yes, they're huge, but they honestly do fade away, which is the case with every A series phone. I do think it's a bit more significant than the past. It's 8A, but honestly, it does disappear. And as a dark theme user, but yeah, it's I don't know. It's segmentation. It's the screen having thicker bezels. I think that's a worthy trade-off for being an A series phone, along with the materials, along with the still Gorilla Glass 3 and the plastic back, the composite back. I think those are trade-offs that are fine. You do get a POLED display. Though it is an actual display, in that it is with the same nits brightness as the 9, so you do get a better display year over year. And at the end of the day, I think brightness would be more important than bezels. But there are clear reminders on this phone that this is the cheaper, the A series phone. So it's something you live with.
Yeah, I do. I mean, with one hand I giveth, one hand I taketh away. In that, with regards to the screen, I think it is a fantastic looking panel. Like, this is the best. This is easily the best Pixel A series phone screen. And in terms of like the color calibration and everything, I can see it's fantastic. I'm using it right now. I'm just scrolling around, and yeah, there's still a little bit of that sometimes scroll lag that was something I've experienced with the Pixel 9 Pro. And once you see it, it's hard to unsee. So I apologize for even mentioning it to people, because now you'll see it. But yeah, 120 hertz it flies, and I'll be surprised if you get sans bezels a better phone display, maybe save something from Oppo or OnePlus on the market for this kind of price. There's probably only two other OEMs. I've named, well, technically one, Oppo with their OnePlus devices as well, and Samsung, that could probably match this in terms of quality for under $500. It's fantastic in terms of like the viewing angles, that max brightness. I've had a sunny day over the past couple of days here in England, so which is a rarity, but sitting outside in the summer sun and being able to read and see things is fantastic. And I even have a little bit of sunlight in my office today, and it's nice to be able to have a phone screen that reacts to that brightness really, really well. I'm hopeful that when we go to Google I/O, I might take it out to California and put it through its paces. I know you're out there already, but yeah, I think apart from the bezels, it is a major step up. And I appreciate that. And I probably was like this a few years ago, and I still have this opinion that uniform bezels, slightly larger, are better than slightly tiny bezels at one end, for instance, like the forehead and then the chin. And I think that was a little bit of a problem with the 8A as well. So yeah, I'm torn on the bezel side of things, but everything else does make this phone screen exceptional. Maybe we could get a bit of better scratch protection next year. I do think you probably will need a screen protector, and I don't know if I have any nicks or cuts on it already. I don't see any just now, but yeah, I know you're a non-case, non-screen protector guy, so you'll have to inform people in a few weeks how it's holding up if you're planning to use it until the 10 series.
So yeah, one more on the
I just want to ask you though, how are you getting on with the screen in terms of the fingerprint scanner? Because that's one thing I really want to know about.
Yeah, it's again, I've been, besides that bright flash of light when you scan the optical. So on average, let's say the Pixel 9 Pro, the ultrasonic, fails 1 to 2 times a day.
Really? That seems high.
Maybe once or twice a day.
Yeah, I don't have any failures with mine.
When we define by fail, like it doesn't work on the first try.
Okay.
To clarify, but the 9A, I'd probably that goes up to 2 or 3 times where I need to readjust. Yeah, but it's mostly readjustment. I feel like the optical, it matters so much more how your alignment, and that's my main thing there. But otherwise, it's the same as at every other A series. It's maybe next year.
I do wonder what would have happened if Google said, you know what, we're just going to go with the capacitive on the back of the phone, and just said, hey, we're going to kind of have a throwback slash. I feel like people would have kind of gone insane for it. I think that would have been really, really popular. Like Nexus imprint, was it originally, and then Pixel imprint?
Yeah.
I think that could be the dream for a lot of people.
Yeah. And I'm not sold on it being on the side with the power button. I don't know how I feel about that. Yeah, especially.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. I do think it does add a slight premium to it in some respects, because I think people usually, or at least maybe since they were introduced, in-display fingerprint scanners have kind of seen as a premium edition. Maybe the ultrasonic is the, in air quotes, ultra premium, but it is. I find it. I've registered my thumbprint multiple times. It seems to be okay. Granted, I was one of the few people who had 0 issues with the Pixel 6 series, and that was one of those phones that was notoriously horrendous for a lot of people. But I guess the face unlock is also really fast as well, so at least you have that aspect of it. And I will. Do you know what? Looking at it directly, I don't think the actual punch hole is that bad in the screen. But yeah, display-wise, everything that faces you day to day seems like the perfect way to kind of experience that entry-level model this time around.
And how about the thing that doesn't face you, the rack of the camera bar? Let's talk about how that design language. I know people's reaction to dropping the camera bar was so, going into this, it was so surprisingly strong. Let's put it.
I feel like it fell on 2 camps, right? I know one of the, I don't want to drop any names in it, but I know a certain person who was very good friends with, actually, with the site, talked about it going to a boring design, and it loses some of its standout appeal. And I can see it from that respect. And I was initially, maybe I was swayed by what other people were saying, but when I've actually taken this out of the box over the last 24 hours or so, I've completely U-turned. I think it looks really good.
It's again, like I would say, like we haven't had flat phones in the past few years, and we haven't had flat phones in the past few years. I don't think it's it's okay. Like from the Pixel 6, from that standpoint, yes, you're using the thing that has been a defining element for the past 4 generations and possibly the foreseeable future. But like the camera bar, I thought I could. The functional use of the camera bar to me was as a grip. I would put my forefinger underneath it to stabilize. But having used the 9A for several weeks, I don't actually need it. Not several weeks, but I don't actually need it. I'm so surprised. I thought like that was like a key stabilizing element, but no, it really isn't.
Maybe if it had that, it would be too. For me, I feel like it would be too high in the body of the phone. But then I do have quite big hands, so it's kind of like for me to stabilize up there would be a bit weird. I'm kind of like trying to showcase it, but we don't have a visual. But yeah, imagine my fingers up around near the top of the phone, just underneath that camera circular thing. I feel like that would be really uncomfortable for me. I'm the kind of guy. I use the pinky stabilization technique underneath effectively the USB port, and I think the lightness has made a bigger difference to me rather than that camera bar removal. I feel like the lack of weight, I say lack of, it is 12 grams lighter than the Pixel 9, which is substantial when you hold them side by side. That I don't have as much pain in my finger at the end of the day, which is nice.
So I'm more of I grip the corner, one of the corners sticks into the palm of my hand, and I'd use the camera bar to stabilize. With this, I'd say I'm still a corner person and a tighter grip around the left or right, left and right. So yeah, but it's again like functionally, I don't miss the camera bar. The flatness, it's slightly raised, which I think is unavoidable. It's pretty insignificant as is, but yeah.
But it does mean you can do that flat up thing. I think I kind of didn't realize this was a thing that people cared about. I maybe because I was just being a bit ignorant to it and didn't mean to be. When you have something that has almost like a prop, which is the camera bar, I think you have the Pixel. I don't know why I'm doing it on my desk. No one can see me doing it. I'm kind of putting the phones side by side, and it's a noticeable difference. The angle at which you can kind of put your thumbprint or your fingerprint on the screen is just kind of quite nice. It's a very different look, and I think a lot of people really like putting their phone face up. I mean, I'm a flip to shush guy, so I kind of leave my phone face down all the time. But I kind of can see why people would like that, having that face up appeal without the camera bar. But I would have loved to have seen what it would have looked like on a cheaper version, because obviously it would have been a different material. Maybe that's why. Maybe that's one of the reasons why.
So one of the things that annoyed me with the 8A was it had a fake... The camera bar... It's plastic. The camera bar on the 8A is plastic. But they clearly styled it to look like metal and to match the side rails. That annoyed me so much, because it's just like faking materials is like just a bad look. It feels bad. It's obvious. It's pointless. So I'm glad that the 9A doesn't have to do that charade. So yeah, that's one improvement. It's, I don't know.
What do you think of the ring around
materials.
it? Yeah, what do you think about the ring around it, the little glossy ring? Do you think it was the right decision to make it kind of different to the color to the rest of the phone? I feel like it looks strange because it doesn't matter which color you pick.
I have
the porcelain version here. It's always black on that plastic kind of I think it's plastic. I'm kind of running my finger on it. I think it's plastic.
Yeah.
Like a plastic ring around it that's black. I wonder if that would have been, if it would have been nicer if it was color matched to the frame of the phone, or would it look even weirder?
Officially, the inspiration for that entire camera, whatever, is the water droplets a la the Pixel Watch. I think that's a bit of a stretch, but okay. Yeah,
I'm not sure I believe that one. I feel like that's copium from Google's design team. But if they're saying that, well, I'll take them at their word. I don't believe them, but I will take them at their word.
You probably can tell. It might, if it were taller, you could probably tell, but you really cannot tell it's inspired by water droplets. And like no reasonable person makes it linear, compared to the Pixel Watch, but okay. But yeah, it's you were saying something very nice about the flash.
I was, yeah. I like, we kind of noticed this just before we started recording that, and I like the way the flash is positioned here, because obviously it's not within the section of the camera, and I kind of like the way that Google has kept it completely separate. It looks striking, but also we noticed that, and this isn't apparent on any of the renders that you'll see, that it kind of is recessed into the plastic backplate, and it has its own kind of almost diffused look. So basically, when you take an image and you have the torch or the flashlight on, or the flash on, whatever you want to call it, it's almost a diffused light as opposed to the really sharp LED, really bright. Don't get me wrong, the LED on the Pixel 9 series, the regular Pixel 9, this is going to get confusing. The regular Pixel 9, 9 Pro, 9 Pro XL, 9 Pro Fold has a slightly diffused light, but it's a lot sharper. That means it's great for like as an LED torch or an LED flashlight, but it's just not as nice for images. So I'm really excited to test this in low light environments with the flash on because it's a lot diffused. And I don't know if that was an intentional decision, but I like to think it might have been. If they were thinking about the Pixel Watch teardrop, then not integrating this into the camera bar, not having to put it under glass, but putting it under a nice soft plastic probably does make a lot of sense. I think that I want to give Google credit there, even if it was unintentional. But yeah, it's a really nice soft diffused. I'm not going to turn it on during my filming because I'll blind myself and I won't be able to see you on video, Abner. But yeah, it's a lot better than I anticipated, and it's almost like there's attention to detail without really realizing there's attention to detail, which I suppose is good design, right?
Mm. So I think that now that we're a bit hardware out, software. At launch, this is running Android 15 QPR1 or the December release. It's not running March's QPR2 release. You are still getting the latest security patch, but in terms of features like the modes, do not disturb redesign, you're not getting any of that. And that is so weird. Officially, you won't be getting those features, modes, the tweaks to like how when the keyboard is open, you have a globe icon in the bottom right, even though you only have one language set. That's kind of an eyesore. There's just all these tweaks that were released in March. You're not getting these until the next feature drop, which I take to mean the next quarterly feature drop, which I take to mean June. And in June, we're assuming that Android 16 is coming out. So there's this 2-month gap. It's a bit less than 2 months, in fairness, where you're using months-old software, not the latest features. And I mean, in the grand scheme, sure, 2 months, you can wait. You can probably install the Android 16 beta in the meantime. But it's just a bad look. It's Pixel should always have the latest software, no questions asked. It's kind of annoying.
I agree. I think that might put some people off, but I feel like it's the one and only time where there's going to be delay. Did we have a delay with the Pixel 8a? Did any of them have a delay? I suppose
the A series is always kind of weird, especially with security patches. It tends
to be a couple of months behind, right? Yeah,
but it's kind of weird.
I mean, my device is currently running on a January patch. Is that correct from what you have?
No, there should be. Did you install an out-of-the-box OTA?
I don't have an OTA. I don't have an OTA waiting for me at this moment in time.
It might be a regional thing.
January it could be. It could be.
The carrier stuff. But on setup, you should be getting an OTA that takes you to this is the April security patches. Throws a wrench into it, but you should be running an April security patch. But yeah, it's just software weirdness. The rest of the experience is obviously fine. It's Pixel. There's really not
I
that
think
much
it's
to say
definitely.
about
I mean, when we think about the actual experience, it technically, because obviously there's some minor changes here and there. Like you don't have. I think it's the Gemini Nano XXS, so extra small versus extra small on the 9.
Yeah.
So there's some on-device things you can't do, but the performance should, in theory, be. Well, it should be the same as technically the regular Pixel 8, shouldn't it? It should be slightly above that because of the 10cg4.
Yeah.
Whether or not all the cores are activated, I'm not 100% certain, but it has you said 8 gigabytes of RAM, 128 gigabytes storage. Still UFS 3.1, which is expected given that's on the 9 Pro, but I've not had any hiccups. I've kind of set it up exactly the same as I would my other devices, just transferred everything over. I mean, it looks the same when I'm using it. It's a Pixel experience, which is nice. I don't know if it's tuned to 120 hertz out of the box or if you've got to change that, because that tended to be the case with A series devices. So probably worth checking that unless you restore it from backup like I have and it went straight to 120. But I cannot honestly see any difference in day to day so far. I mean, I've only had it for about
I've been
just
fine
under
with 8
24 hours.
gigs of RAM. I thought I would feel that going from the 16 gig 9 Pro, but honestly, it's been fine. App reloads, fine. Multitasking is fine. I wonder if this is like the last year that 8 gigs is all right before we jump to 12 and whatnot. But it's been fine so far. In terms of Pixel apps that's new from over the 8A Pixel Studio, you do get people generation. You do get those latest features already. You also have connected cameras. I saw that was part of the feature drop last month. So you do get the app-based stuff. That's never limited. So Pixel Studio, it's interesting how that's big of a push they're doing on the Pixel Studio. The stickers, they really sticker generation is probably like the best place for these Pixel Studio in terms of it's something you do over general image generation, a focus specific task. No pixel screenshots. I know you've been.
I was so disappointed. Like I'm looking at my home screen, I have a gap where it is, but there is an alternative for anyone out there who's thinking of getting an A series device. I think this will run on older devices as well. It's called Pixel Shot. I featured it in a roundup of like applications I think people should download a few months ago. I think it's called Pixel Shot. I think maybe the store listing is a different name, but it's effectively just it's like a slightly siloed version of Pixel screenshots, and it almost looks the same. Obviously, it doesn't have quite all the same features, and the OCR of images is not quite as good. All of the processing is supposedly done on offline as well, so that's kind of if you're worried about privacy and stuff like that, still would be wary of screenshot and passwords and things anyway, even if you're going to use Pixel screenshots. But I think, I'm going to download that and use that instead. But that was the one that I was most disappointed in. I would have really loved to have seen Pixel screenshots on this device, and I wonder if that is a limitation of the model that comes on the phone.
Absolutely. I've been using Google Photos and Google Tasks as alternatives. It's fine. It's unfortunate since that's like the most novel AI thing that Google has done so far, and I don't think like by next generation you probably need it. So I guess the biggest use case examples of AI in this are the camera, specifically AdMe. It's you'll use it during the holidays or when you're traveling. It's nice.
I was about to say, I wonder if the push for AdMe is because and I'm only going anecdotally here on evidence that I've seen day to day. I tend to see parents, and obviously we have a 50-50 split with Android and iOS here in the UK. I think it actually might be in favor of Android actually now over the past couple of years, but you kind of see people running around with the A series devices because there's a lot of like cheaper carriers. So for instance, if anyone's aware of a large UK supermarket called Tesco's, they tend to offer 7A, 8A, and I'm sure they'll do the 9A at ridiculously low prices. So
supermarkets, you tend to see
phones. Tend to see the basic, because they have their own NVMO basically that piggybacks up another network, and they offer ridiculously cheap deals to people who are kind of, I guess you're a member of the supermarket and you get discounts on that. And I tend to see a lot of people using them. So I wonder if that push to add AdMe is because you tend to see a lot of people, families using them, and I think that, like you say, family gatherings, Christmas, or like holiday periods, it's kind of a nice option to have. I can't say I've used it beyond during the initial testing phase when we first started trying out the Pixel 9 last year.
It's a trip thing. It's a holiday end of the year thing. You don't really.
Yeah, maybe I'm a little bit too trusting in that I would just say to somebody, could you just take a photo of all of us together? Like if my phone's going to get stolen, it's going to get stolen. Like I just make that on the fly decision. I'm not going to enough
That enraged me at I/O when you were at I/O. That enraged me. That shocked me significantly.
Well, I'm not that, but I feel like if someone's they're gonna steal it, they're gonna steal it. You can hedge your bets and pick someone you think is trustworthy. So maybe we'll try Add Me, but I feel like the results don't always look that impressive.
I know.
I think.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. Top Shot. Yeah, last year. I still think that's the one that's ended up penetrating to people. Top Shot.
Best Take, sorry?
Best Take, yes.
Best Take is the new iteration. I think Best Take is really, really good. Genuinely impressive how good it is.
The one that changes your face. These names are getting a bit much. You record multiple images and then it picks the one where you're looking at the camera. I think that's the one that has penetrated people the most. Like, speaking with people that have older Pixels, 7 specifically, that they asked about that. I was surprised that they knew about it, and that's the one they kind of want on their next camera.
Yeah, because I think if you look at Add Me, the process is a little bit finicky. Let's be completely honest. But whereas Best Take is just take the photo,
it's in Google Photos,
photo, whatever it is.
That's a Google Photos.
We all know that it's annoying when you say, "Hey, everybody say cheese" or whatever your locality version of that is. Everybody smile for the camera, whatever you need to do. And there is always one person who maybe doesn't look in the right direction, is looking down, maybe looked at the camera slightly early, too late, and I think that kind of makes sense. And I feel like it kind of ties into I feel like the A series, if they target it at families, if they do their marketing, I was going to call it smarketing, which don't know where that came from. The smart marketing would be to target those groups of people who want a cheap phone. They want something that's going to be cheap on cell plans and mobile phone contracts. They want good photos of their family together, mum and dad, grandparents, grandkids. They've kind of done that already with the Pixel 9 marketing, so maybe I don't know how they go really hard into that area, but the camera is, so far, the few photos I've taken, it's really comparable to the Pixel 9. But I think if you do want a better camera experience, you're going to have to go for the regular Pixel 9. I just think there's enough of it. I say enough. There is, to a keen eye like maybe myself or someone who uses cameras a lot, there is enough difference there in the perceived quality that you probably would want to go with the 9 because the main sensor is just slightly better. But I do like there's a lot of features that made the jump. It's good. It's surprising to see so many features make that jump. We haven't seen that before in an A series.
I love macro focus. I'm enjoying that a great deal. So something new, because of this new 48 megapixel main wide sensor, macro focus is now built into the main autofocus, basically. So there's no longer, in quick settings, there's no longer a toggle to turn it on, off, or set to auto. It's now just auto. So you just bring it within 5 centimeters or something, and the sunflower icon appears in the top left. So we probably don't need it to be something that you manually control, but yeah, that's a simplification.
I think that's great.
Shots.
Simplifying it like that means that people are just going to do it. Like, naturally, you're going to put your phone close to something and take a picture, and not having to enable something is always a good sign. And yeah, I think it's great. I wonder if that will ever make the jump. I wonder if that's going to make the jump to the regular Pixel.
Oh, absolutely. It's just when the sensor switches over.
The only other thing I would say is that's slightly disappointing is, given that impressive main sensor, is no room for HDR video. So you can't record HDR video. I'm a little bit disappointed in that. I thought it would be capable. I mean, the SoC can do it. So, and it has enough data, surely, in the sensor to take it on board and process HDR video. But I guess that's maybe something to kind of differentiate again. I think that is a little bit disappointing, but kind of is what it is. But other than that, I think the camera's pretty good. I do think probably the ultra wide is getting a little bit long in the tooth. Maybe we do need something different there. 13 megapixels. I'm not an ultra wide guy. I take them for fun. Ultra wide selfies are good fun, but other than that, I'm not really taking them very often.
I don't know who would miss it. This is one regard where I wouldn't mind if they followed Apple and just did the one camera thing. Like, if they did a one camera thing, they made it a little bit cheaper, it had to be a little bit cheaper. And they improved the front-facing camera, like on the on the same quality as the Pixel 9 with that big a megapixel jump last generation, I think I think people would get more value out of a really high-res selfie cam versus
you're probably right. You're probably right. Yeah, it's a strange one. I feel like it's always much of a muchness when we talk about A-series cameras now because they're so consistent. I mean, it's practically the same experience from 7A right through to here. I mean, yeah, there's some color tone differences, and you'll probably see stuff in the coming days where people have compared them to previous generations. But it always, to be quite honest with you, with Pixel cameras, apart from the big jump from the 12, the IMX 363 to the Samsung GN1 or GN2, I can't remember, GN1 or GN2 with Pixel 6 series, we haven't really seen a quantum leap, have we? Drastically. No. So yeah, it's kind of par for the course of the Pixel A series. You'll get some nice pictures. It's nice that you can now do super res zoom at 8x. I think it was 7x last year. It was limited to. I could be wrong. Correct me if I'm wrong, anyone out there. But yeah, it's seems like a good starting block. But I kind of want to talk one more thing before we wrap up, because this is kind of a big deal. I think is the fact that this comes with the biggest battery on a Pixel device to date. Yes.
5100 milliamp hours, which is like 40 something above the 9 Pro XL. Obviously, that's a big one. Yeah, I know this isn't the best metric, but 4 hours screen on time. I end the day with around 40%. I'm usually around 7 a.m. to 11/midnight with it. And yeah, 40%. That's pretty good. So over the weekend, I did go from like I took it off the charger at Saturday morning, and then I went into deep into Sunday afternoon without charging overnight, and it left me at just above 20%. No battery saver, nothing like that. Yeah, I think most people, they'll find a charger within 24 hours, but in the case that you don't, or you're taking a long, lazy weekend, it meets the 30 hours, the quoted 30 hours of battery life, 30 hours plus.
I mean, that's impressive on it by any metric. I think we reached a point, I think a few years ago, where Google just said, you know what, we're going to put big batteries in our phones, and that might actually make a difference, and it kind of has. I'm kind of shocked that this was the biggest battery in a Pixel to date, but I guess this hasn't set a precedence, because with the Pixel 5a, I don't know if anyone else can remember that was the biggest at one point. So the Pixel 5a, which was obviously limited release to US and Japan, I think that was about 4,600 or something like that, and then previously the biggest was 4,000 with the Pixel 5. So it's kind of nice to see the A series getting a big battery bump.
Yeah, it's what people care about.
It's going to be I think it's going to be a long-lasting phone for a lot of people, and Tensor is a lot better than it was. There's a little bit of bump on charging speed as well to 23 watts, which is always nice. I think all of these things are adding up, and I think kind of to summarize a little bit is that Google's listened to complaints. They made the thing a little bit separate. I mean, let's be big-headed about it, and I'm saying that we complained about it a lot last year that there wasn't a separation, and they've kind of made this separation now and made it its own thing a little bit more, and it's kind of nice to see. And it feels like the complaints that people have made have really been acted upon with the A series, and I think that kind of sums it up a little bit. I know we'll have a full deep dive into your thoughts, and you've spent a lot longer with the A series than I have, but even after 24 hours, it is refreshing. I think that's probably the best way to describe it. I don't know if we'll have any things that change. I think maybe when Android 16 arrives, we might get to see what it can do and what it can't do a little bit more readily. But yeah, very impressed so far. Considering I wasn't expecting anything major. I don't know if you were the same. Like, it kind of is what it is, right? But with A series, we kind of like it comes up close, and it's like, to me, it feels like that minor peak before we get the main meal with the Pixel 10, whatever it is, in later on in the summer / autumn when it used to be. Yeah, stay tuned for more content. We'll have lots of comparisons with this, with regards to the Pixel 9, the Pixel 8a, the Pixel 7a maybe, thrown in there for good measure, and some of the other competitors around its price points. But I think it's really good value proposition this time around. I think you do agree with me there. I don't know.
Yeah,
I feel like you do.
It's its own thing. It's lovely. It's like you were saying. It's fine. It's no longer derivative. It's its own thing, and I think I really do hope like Google taking this swing with this new design. I do hope the market rewards them, and I think if people don't appeal to that, they'll like the battery, and I think ultimately the camera works.
Perfect. Yeah, I think yeah. Stay tuned for more. I'm going to be happy with it. I'm going to throw my sim in it in the next couple of days, properly get to grips with the 9A. Maybe next week we'll have a little bit of an update. And yeah, it's kind of countdown now to I/O. So yeah, thanks for joining us. This has been Pixelated episode 49. Thanks for joining me, Abner, and sharing your thoughts. You're the oracle on the Pixel 9A so far, and I'm just that young Padawan learning a little bit about device that I've only had for 24 hours.
See you next week. Bye.
See you next week.